The night sky over the Pacific was clear, filled with countless stars. Families slept in quiet suburbs. Cargo ships moved across black-water bears. Pilots guided passenger planes on routine routes. Everything felt ordinary. But then, at 2:13 a.m. UTC, the stars began to vanish. It did not happen suddenly. First one star disappeared, then another, then whole clusters went dark, as if a giant curtain was being drawn across the heavens. At first, astronomers thought it was a strange atmospheric event. Radar operators believed their screens were glitching. But when satellites started going silent one after another, the truth became undeniable. Something massive was blocking the skies. Above the thin blue shield of Earth's atmosphere, ships larger than mountains slid into orbit. Their surfaces reflected no light. They looked like jagged black scars cutting across the stars. These were not satellites, not meteors, not human creations. They were something else. In New York City, a man walking his dog stopped and stared upward. He froze, pulling his phone to capture what he thought was an eclipse. But the shape kept growing until the sky was no longer sky, it was shadow. In Tokyo, children pointed at the heavens while their parents whispered nervously. The lights of Shinjuku reflected on their faces as something vast passed silently overhead. In Nairobi, elders who had lived through war shook their heads, saying this was not from Earth. Panic spread across the globe. Airlines rerouted flights. Military jets scrambled. Governments called emergency meetings. Within hours, humanity knew. These were ships, alien ships, but the visitors said nothing. They only hovered silent and patient, watching from the dark. For 3 long days, the ships did not move. People gathered in parks and streets, staring upward. Television stations broadcast the strange black outlines dominating the sky. Social media exploded with theories. Some said it was a trick by rival nations. Others claimed it was the end of the world. Conspiracy groups shouted that governments had always known. The United Nations convened an emergency summit. Leaders argued, shouted, and demanded answers. Scientists studied the ships but found no signals, no patterns of communication. Just silence. Some people prayed. Others rioted. Markets crashed. Planes stopped flying. Humanity stood still, waiting for the first word from the sky. And then, on the 4th day, the world heard a voice. It was not spoken in any human tongue. Yet every person understood. Radios cracked, televisions flickered, phones buzzed, and even old analog devices hummed with the same chilling message. There was no introduction, no greeting, no attempt at peace. Only a declaration. The broadcast repeated 3 times. Then silence. On the streets of London, people screamed. In Moscow, soldiers rushed to defense stations. In Washington, the president was moved to a bunker. In Beijing, the government declared martial law. Everywhere, people knew the truth. This was not a visit. It was an invasion. The alien ships moved at last. They drifted from orbit into the atmosphere, black shapes descending with terrifying grace. Over New York, a single ship blotted out the sun, throwing Manhattan into darkness at midday. Over Beijing, another hovered low, its surface glowing faintly with crimson lines. Over Cairo, shadows spread across the pyramids, symbols of ancient history now dwarfed by something far older, far greater. People ran through the streets. Cars crashed. Power grids failed under the strain of electromagnetic interference. Hospitals lost power. Airplanes fell silent mid-air, tumbling from the skies. Yet still, the ships made no further move. They just hovered, watching, waiting. It was psychological warfare, and it was working. In military bases around the world, commanders shouted orders. Nuclear missiles were prepared. Fighter jets took off, circling nervously beneath the alien giants. Naval fleets clustered near coasts, their guns aimed upward, but no one dared to fire first. The fear was too great, the unknown too dangerous. What if a single shot triggered the destruction of the entire planet? In underground bunkers, scientists debated endlessly. Could these ships be fought? Could their technology be understood? But even as they asked questions, satellites kept disappearing. Communication lines snapped. Humanity was being blinded piece by piece, And somewhere deep in the mountains of Colorado, inside a hidden military facility, a group of men and women prepared something no one else knew about. A project long kept secret, whispered of only in the darkest corners of intelligence circles. They called it Project Aegis. The days stretched into a week. Life as people knew it broke down. Supermarkets emptied as people hoarded food. Cities burned as riots turned into chaos. Governments lost control. The shadow of the ships poisoned every thought. On the seventh night, strange lights began to glow beneath the alien hulls. Cities bathed in red as the ships charged their weapons. The world held its breath, waiting for fire to fall. At 3:01 a.m. UTC, the first beam was unleashed. It struck Beijing with the power of 1,000 bombs, reducing entire districts to molten glass. Millions died in seconds. The sound shook the air for miles, buildings collapsing like paper. Seconds later, another beam struck New York. Skyscrapers melted, streets split open, firestorms raged through the city. The Statue of Liberty crumbled into the sea, and then Cairo. Ancient pyramids vaporized as sand turned to black glass. In less than an hour, 3 of the greatest cities on Earth were nothing but ruins. The broadcast returned. The message in fire, the broadcast returned. The same cold voice, resist and you will be erased. Billions listened, trembling. Hope seemed to die that night. Humanity was broken. Or so the invaders thought. The spark of defiance in Africa near the Rift Valley, one alien ship prepared to fire on a cluster of human settlements. Its crimson weapon began to glow. Villagers screamed, fleeing into the night. But before the beam could strike, the sky above erupted. A streak of blue light tore across the heavens, hitting the alien warship with impossible precision. The ship convulsed, twisted, and then exploded in a fireball so bright it lit the desert like day. For the first time, humanity saw an alien ship fall. Panic turned into disbelief. People around the world gasped. Who had fired? No known human weapon could do that. In war rooms and bunkers, generals stared at screens in silence. The alien fleet reeled in shock. And in the chaos, a rumor began to spread like wildfire across the globe. Earth had just fought back, but the question remained. How? The night sky over Beijing had always been bright with city lights. But now the skyline was gone. The alien strike had turned towers into rivers of molten glass. Smoke rose so high it covered the stars. People who survived ran through the ruins screaming, their voices mixing with the roar of fire. Far across the ocean, New York burned as well. Flames reached upward from the skeletons of skyscrapers. The Hudson boiled from heat so intense that ships melted into the water. The Statue of Liberty was gone, reduced to ash. Cairo, too, had fallen, swallowed by blinding fire. The pyramids that had stood for thousands of years were no more. All across the world, people watched the destruction live on screens. Whole families knelt in their living rooms, some praying, others crying, some frozen in silence. It was the end of hope. That was what the invaders wanted humanity to believe. But something strange was about to happen in Africa. Something that would change everything. In the Great Rift Valley, thousands of refugees had gathered in villages, waiting to be destroyed. Above them, an alien ship floated, its red glow growing stronger as it charged its weapon. Mothers clutched their children. Old men raised their hands toward the heavens in despair. Soldiers fired rifles into the sky, bullets bouncing harmlessly off the alien hull. Then the blue light came. It cut across the night like a blade of lightning, tearing through the alien ship with impossible precision. The warship shuddered, broke in half, and exploded. The blast painted the desert in brilliant white for a moment. When the light faded, only falling fire remained. People screamed, but this time it was not fear. It was shock. It was hope. For the first time since the invasion began, humans had seen the enemy fall. Every camera, every satellite that still worked, captured the explosion. News broadcasts lit up instantly. Across the world, billions of people stared at the images, whispering the same words again and again. Someone fought back, inside their command ship above Earth. The alien commanders did not understand what had happened. Their weapons were unmatched. Their shields were supposed to be unbreakable. No species had ever resisted them on their first strike. Yet here, on a small blue planet, one of their warships had been destroyed. The commander hissed orders. Scanners searched for the source of the blue light. Was it a hidden human weapon? Was it interference from another empire? Their technology analyzed every detail, but the result was always the same. The energy signature was unknown. Fear spread among the aliens for the first time. They had come expecting an easy conquest. Now doubt crept into their ranks. In Washington, inside a deep military bunker, the president slammed his hand on the table. Who fired that shot? Generals exchanged nervous glances. None of them knew. America had no weapon capable of doing that. Neither did Russia, nor China, nor Europe. Nuclear missiles could not pierce the alien hulls, let alone destroy one instantly. In Moscow, Russian commanders also demanded answers. Some believed the Americans had hidden technology. Others believed it was the Chinese. But when both denied it, the truth became clear. Someone had prepared for this war long before it began. Someone had built a weapon the world did not know about, and yet no one stepped forward to claim it. Across the planet, the mood shifted. Only hours before, humanity had been broken. Riots filled the streets. Suicides rose. People had abandoned hope. Now chants rose instead. Fight back. Earth is not theirs. Humanity will win. Videos of the exploding alien ship went viral instantly. Children painted the sky blue with chalk, copying the color of the strange weapon. Soldiers in the field whispered that maybe they had a chance. The aliens had given humanity fear. But with one single blast, fear turned into rage. The invaders would not let this insult go unanswered. Above Johannesburg, another alien ship descended. Its crimson glow filled the clouds. It aimed to erase another human city, to remind Earth who was in control. But before the weapon could fire, jets streaked into the air. They were human fighters, old compared to alien craft, but their pilots were fearless. Missiles screamed upward, striking the alien hull. The blasts did no damage, bouncing harmlessly off the shields, but the world cheered at the sight. Humanity was fighting back. The alien ship swatted the planes out of the sky in seconds. But just as it prepared to fire on the city, another blue streak cut across the heavens. The ship cracked open, bursting into flames. Johannesburg was saved. Again, the same unknown weapon had struck. Again, an alien ship fell. In the alien mothership, commanders shouted at each other. Two ships lost in a single night, unknown energy signatures tearing through their defenses. This was not how conquest was supposed to begin. They scanned the ground furiously, trying to locate the origin. But the blasts left no trace. The energy vanished as quickly as it appeared. One officer suggested retreating until the weapon was found. The commander silenced him immediately. Retreat was dishonor. Yet the thought had been spoken, and fear grew stronger. Far beneath the Rocky Mountains, in a hidden facility buried deeper than nuclear bunkers, the truth was revealed. Project Aegis was real. It was a joint effort, created secretly by scientists from multiple nations. Officially, it never existed. But for decades, whispers had told of strange experiments, reverse-engineered technology, and weapons that even governments feared to fund openly. Now, inside massive underground chambers, glowing blue weapons hummed with power. Energy, unlike anything known to man, pulsed inside coils the size of skyscrapers. Operators guided targeting systems with trembling hands. Engineers whispered prayers as they prepared the next shot. Project Aegis had been humanity's last resort, and it had just been unleashed. The destruction of two alien ships spread across the globe like wildfire. Every nation wanted to know where the weapon came from. People demanded answers from their leaders. But no government admitted to building it. In the streets of Paris, people waved banners of blue light. In the ruins of New York, survivors shouted that Earth would never fall. In Africa, villagers sang songs of victory beneath the wreckage of alien debris. These aliens had expected a broken world. Instead, they had created a united one. The alien fleet regrouped. Instead of individual strikes, they prepared to attack together. Dozens of ships aligned above the Atlantic Ocean, charging weapons at the same time. Their plan was simple: overwhelm the mysterious human defense with sheer firepower. The ocean below churned with storms caused by their energy buildup. Fishermen fled in terror as the sea boiled. Naval fleets from every nation watched from a distance, helpless. Then the sky exploded. Blue light rained down from hidden launch sites across the globe. Beams lanced upward in every direction, striking alien ships one after another. 4 ships were destroyed instantly. Others staggered, shields failing. The Atlantic burned with falling wreckage. The ocean swallowed entire alien hulls as fire spread across the waves. Humanity roared in triumph. But victory came with a price. The aliens, enraged, unleashed their full fury. Beams of red fire rained down on smaller cities. Lagos was hit. Buenos Aires was struck. Istanbul was leveled. Millions died in hours. The world cheered the falling alien ships, but also wept for the endless destruction. Humanity had shown it could fight back, but the invaders still had overwhelming power. This was no longer a one-sided war. It was survival. In the smoking ruins of Buenos Aires, survivors crawled through fire and rubble. Above them, alien ships circled angrily. But then, without warning, the alien fleet pulled back, not in defeat, not in surrender. They moved with purpose, regrouping above the planet, forming a new formation. From the mothership, a new broadcast filled the world. "We underestimated you. Now you will face our true strength," the message ended. Silence returned, and deep in the Rocky Mountains, inside Project Aegis, a scientist whispered in horror. "Their real weapons are still hidden. What we've seen so far was only the beginning." The alien fleet moved like predators above the Earth. After the destruction of New York, Beijing, and Cairo, their dominance seemed unquestionable. Even with Project Aegis firing blue lances of energy from hidden bases, humanity still bled. Cities burned. Millions were gone. The aliens believed they still had control, but then something happened that no one could explain. In the skies above Africa, 3 alien warships descended together. Their weapons glowed, ready to erase more cities. Crowds ran into the desert, soldiers fired rifles upward in desperation, and children screamed in fear. Suddenly the sky split again, not with one beam, not with 2, but with a storm of blue light. The first warship shattered instantly. The second tried to rise, but its shields failed, collapsing in flames. The third spun out of control before exploding in a fireball so bright the desert turned to glass. And then silence. Billions watched live feeds. Cameras captured alien wreckage falling across the sand. The unthinkable had happened. 3 warships destroyed in less than a minute. The aliens had believed Earth was helpless. Now humanity had broken that silence with fire. Inside the alien mothership, chaos erupted. Commanders shouted across glowing screens, their voices sharp with fear. Data flowed in streams of light, but none of it made sense. The blue energy weapon appeared and vanished too quickly for scanners to trace. One officer argued that another advanced empire was interfering. Another swore that humans must have stolen alien technology years before. None of them wanted to accept the truth. Earth itself was fighting back. The High Commander silenced the room. His voice cut like a blade. "Find the source. No species defies us." Yet even as he gave the order, doubt spread. For the first time, they were not hunters. They were prey. In the streets of Johannesburg, survivors lifted their fists toward the sky. Soldiers who only hours before had been broken now shouted war cries. Across the world, hope surged. In Paris, church bells rang in celebration. In Mexico City, people painted blue streaks across walls and called them the sky's fire. In Tokyo, children held up drawings of alien ships burning. Humanity was wounded. But now it was dangerous, far beneath the Rocky Mountains. The operators of Project Aegis stared at their screens. Sweat dripped down their faces. Their weapon had fired again, but the cost was heavy. Energy levels dropped dangerously low. Cooling systems screamed as machines shook under the pressure. Dr. Helena Ward, lead scientist of Aegis, placed her hand on the control panel. "We cannot keep this pace," she warned. "Each shot tears the system apart." General Harris, commander of the facility, shook his head. "We keep firing. The world has seen hope. If we stop, fear will return." Technicians worked frantically, replacing burned-out coils, patching systems, stabilizing energy fields. Aegis had the power to kill alien warships, but it was fragile, barely held together. If it failed mid-firing, the entire mountain could collapse. Still, humanity had no choice. The aliens had to believe Earth was stronger than it really was. The alien fleet moved into formation. Scanners swept the globe, searching for energy spikes. Thousands of drones were released, small machines that swarmed through the atmosphere, searching for hidden bases. One swarm flew across the Rockies. Deep underground, alarms blared in the Aegis facility. Operators watched in horror as hundreds of alien drones scouted above their hidden location. "They know we are here," whispered one soldier, but the drones did not fire. They circled, scanned, and then flew onward. The facility held its breath. The aliens had not found them. Not yet. In London, a secret meeting of generals, scientists, and leaders gathered. The question was no longer whether humanity could fight back. The question was how. For the first time in history, nations shared everything they had. Data technology, weapons, secrets that had been guarded for decades were spilled onto the table. Humanity realized it had no choice but to unite. Within days, engineers began retrofitting fighter jets with scraps of alien debris. Tanks were fitted with makeshift energy shields powered by stolen alien cores. Submarines carried experimental torpedoes designed from fragments of alien alloy. The world had changed. Humanity was no longer hiding. Above the Sahara Desert, an alien ship broke formation. It descended, landing in a storm of dust. Massive legs extended, embedding into the sand. A hatch opened, and alien soldiers stepped into the desert night. This was their plan. They would not only attack from the skies. They would hunt the weapon on the ground. But they were not alone. Watching from the dunes, a small team of human commandos prepared an ambush. Their weapons were primitive compared to alien guns, but they carried something more dangerous. Stolen fragments of Aegis energy packed into crude explosives. When the first alien patrol moved out, the dunes erupted. Gunfire cracked, explosions tore the sand, and screams filled the night. The aliens fought with inhuman speed, but the humans were relentless. When it was over, dozens of alien bodies burned in the desert. And for the first time in history, human soldiers had defeated the invaders face to face. The alien commanders were furious. Ships had fallen. Soldiers had been slaughtered. Every attempt to crush humanity only seemed to awaken it, but their pride would not allow retreat. The High Commander declared a new order, full planetary suppression. Entire continents would be burned if necessary. Humanity had shown resistance. Now the aliens would show total war. Across the world, televisions flickered again. Radios crackled. Phones buzzed. Humanity braced for another alien threat. But this time the voice was not alien. A human voice filled the airwaves. Strong, unbroken. "This is Earth. We are not afraid. You came to conquer us, but you found a world that fights back. If you want this planet, you will pay for it with blood." The world froze. The broadcast had come from deep within the Aegis facility. General Harris himself had spoken. For the first time, humanity had answered the aliens directly. Billions cheered. Across cities and villages, people shouted, cried, and embraced. They had been silent too long. Now they had spoken, and the galaxy was listening. The aliens responded with fury. Over South America, a warship deployed a weapon unlike anything seen before. A crimson beam struck the ground, but instead of exploding, it spread like a ripple, splitting the earth itself. Entire mountains crumbled. Forests ignited. Rivers boiled into clouds of steam. The death toll was unthinkable. South America screamed in horror. Humanity's defiance had given hope, but it also brought greater destruction. Inside Project Aegis, Dr. Ward studied the latest energy scans from the alien attacks. Her eyes widened. They are escalating too quickly. This is not just conquest. This is fear. They are terrified of us, General Harris frowned. Terrified? They still have the power to wipe out continents. She shook her head. That is why they are dangerous. A cornered beast is the most deadly. But if we keep striking, if we keep showing them we can hurt them, fear will break them. The general leaned closer. Then we hit them harder. The next day, the sky above the Pacific lit up with streaks of fire. For the first time in history, human aircraft armed with hybrid alien technology launched an attack against the fleet. Missiles tipped with stolen Aegis fragments tore into the alien shields. Not all hit, not all worked, but 2 warships fell burning into the sea. The world watched in shock. Humanity was no longer just surviving. Humanity was striking back. The silence was broken. But as the Pacific battle ended, survivors reported something strange. From the wreckage of the destroyed alien ships, escape pods shot into space. Not toward the mothership, not toward orbit, outward, into the stars. Inside Project Aegis, Dr. Ward studied the data and went pale. They are calling for help. If another fleet comes, this war will be nothing compared to what follows. Humanity had broken the silence. But now the galaxy might answer. The desert was silent under the stars. Alien boots pressed into the sand as a strike team moved carefully across the dunes. Their mission was simple: find the hidden human weapon, destroy it, and end this rebellion before it spread further. But the silence did not last. The first scream came from the left flank. An alien soldier disappeared into the shadows, his weapon clattering to the ground. The others spun in confusion, aiming their rifles at the darkness. Another scream followed, then another. Shapes moved between the dunes too fast to track. Bullets cracked. Explosions lit the sand. When the firing stopped, the strike team was gone. Not one alien remained. Only their broken armor and scattered weapons were left behind. For the first time in history, alien soldiers had not been hunters. They had been hunted. Across the globe, stories of ambushes spread. In South America, resistance fighters destroyed an alien patrol using homemade explosives. In Eastern Europe, soldiers lured invaders into abandoned cities, collapsing entire buildings onto them. In Asia, villagers armed with nothing but stolen rifles fought an alien squad to the last man. Everywhere, humanity was learning. The aliens were stronger, faster, and better armed, but humans were clever. They adapted. They improvised. They turned every street, every forest, every mountain into a battlefield. The invaders had underestimated Earth's will, and now the hunters were losing control. The High Commander paced the glowing bridge of the mothership. Reports flowed in, patrols missing, warships destroyed, drones vanishing. His soldiers no longer spoke with confidence. They whispered in fear. Humans are unpredictable, one officer admitted. They fight with chaos. They fight with rage. The commander's eyes glowed with anger. Then we erase their rage. We burn them until nothing is left. Yet even he knew something had changed. The conquest was no longer certain. The humans had drawn blood. Project Aegis strikes. Deep in the Rocky Mountains, the hidden Aegis base hummed with energy. Technicians worked around the clock, repairing systems that shook with every firing. Cooling units roared, keeping the weapon stable. Dr. Helena Ward studied the readings carefully. We can fire again, but the system is near breaking. One wrong calculation and the mountain will collapse. General Harris stood firm. Then we take the risk. If we stop, Earth falls. At his order, the weapon charged. A glowing blue beam cut upward, ripping through the clouds. High above, an alien warship exploded into fragments, raining fire into the ocean below. The world cheered again. Humanity was no longer begging for survival. Humanity was striking back with purpose. In the Amazon rainforest, an alien squad tracked heat signatures. They believed a resistance base was hidden nearby. Their scanners picked up movement. They moved quietly through the thick jungle, weapons raised. But the humans were ready. Explosives hidden in trees detonated, shredding the alien squad. Snipers fired from the shadows. Warriors with painted faces emerged from the jungle, attacking with stolen alien blades. The fight was brutal, close, and relentless. When it ended, the jungle was quiet again. Alien bodies floated down the river. The hunters had been destroyed. Word of the ambush spread. Across villages, towns, and cities, humanity felt a new strength. They were no longer waiting for death. They were fighting for victory. On the mothership, officers argued. Some demanded a full planetary bombardment. Others warned that destroying Earth completely would make it useless to their empire. Resources would be lost. Colonization would fail. The High Commander silenced them. This planet is ours. These humans are only delaying the inevitable. But deep inside, even he began to question. No species had ever resisted this long. No species had ever destroyed so many ships. And no species had ever dared to strike back so boldly. In makeshift factories, engineers worked tirelessly. Scrap metal from destroyed alien ships was melted down and reshaped. Human jets were reinforced with alien alloys. Old tanks were rebuilt with stolen plasma guns. Submarines carried new weapons that glowed with blue light. In less than a month, Earth had created a fleet unlike anything before. Crude, unstable, dangerous, but deadly. Pilots trained with fierce determination. Soldiers learned to use alien rifles. Children carried supplies for the resistance. Every human became part of the fight. The invaders had expected fear. Instead, they had awakened unity. The alien fleet moved across the Atlantic, searching for hidden human bases. They scanned the ocean, preparing to unleash their weapons on naval ships below. But the humans were ready. Submarines rose silently from the depths, firing new hybrid torpedoes. Blue streaks cut through the water, smashing into alien hulls. Ships exploded, fire lighting up the waves. Above the surface, fighter jets screamed into the air, launching missiles made from salvaged alien tech. Another warship fell into the sea, its wreckage swallowed by the ocean. The aliens returned fire, burning dozens of human ships. The water boiled with destruction. But when the smoke cleared, the impossible had happened again. More alien warships had fallen. The hunters had been ambushed in the ocean itself. Desperate, the aliens released another broadcast. The same cold voice filled the airwaves. Humans of Earth, your resistance is meaningless. For every ship you destroy, 100 will take its place. For every soldier you kill, 1,000 more wait among the stars. You cannot win, but this time humanity did not tremble. Crowds laughed at the message. Children shouted at the sky. Soldiers raised their rifles and fired into the air in defiance. The words of fear had lost their power. Alien patrols grew more cautious. They no longer landed openly in cities. They no longer marched through villages with arrogance. They knew that every shadow might hide a sniper. Every road might hold a bomb. Every building might collapse on their heads. The humans had turned the entire planet into a trap. For the first time in the history of the alien empire, their soldiers were afraid to walk on the ground. In the ruins of New York, resistance fighters launched a daring raid. Using tunnels beneath the city, they planted explosives directly under an alien command post. When the bombs detonated, the blast ripped through the streets, collapsing entire alien structures. Survivors ran through the rubble, waving captured alien weapons. Cameras captured the moment. Across the world, people saw it live. Humanity was not only fighting, humanity was winning battles. The High Commander stood before his officers. His eyes burned with fury. We came as hunters. Now we are prey. If this continues, our empire will know shame. We will not retreat. We will not fail. We will bring Earth to its knees. But his words rang hollow. Even he could not deny the truth. The humans had changed the game. Inside Project Aegis, Dr. Ward analyzed fresh scans from the battlefield. She froze when she saw the readings. The alien fleet was changing its formation. Energy levels spiked in the mothership. She called for General Harris. Her voice shook as she spoke. They are preparing something new. This is not another strike. This is something far worse. If they fire this weapon, entire continents will shatter. The general stared at her in silence. Then he turned to his men. Prepare the world. The real war is about to begin. And above the earth, the alien mothership glowed like a rising star of death. The night sky turned red without warning. Across the world, people looked up and saw flames streaking through the heavens. The alien mothership had unleashed something new, something the Earth had never seen. Great bolts of burning plasma rained down from orbit, slamming into cities, forests, and oceans. Towers crumbled in seconds. Forests lit up like torches. Waves rose high as whole sections of sea boiled. The screams of millions carried through the air. Sirens blared. Entire nations went dark. This was not an attack to capture. It was not an attack to conquer. It was an attack to break the human spirit forever. And yet, even in the middle of fire and death, Earth's defenders did not fall to their knees. They clenched their fists. They sharpened their blades. And they swore that the war had only begun. At the hidden Project Aegis base, Dr. Helena Ward stared at the readings with terror. They are not firing simple weapons anymore. They have turned their ship into a world killer. If they keep this up, entire continents will vanish. General Harris stood tall beside her, his face lit by the glow of the screens. Then we do not give them the chance. We end this before they finish what they started. But his words were heavier than iron. Humanity was still bleeding from the last attacks. Cities were dust. Millions were gone. Yet somehow, he knew they had no choice. The next strike might erase half the planet. While the mothership rained death from above, the fight on the ground did not stop. In Africa, rebel leaders gathered their people in deserts and mountains, turning sand into fortresses. In Asia, human scientists worked day and night to fuse alien energy cores into stolen tanks. In Europe, farmers gave their barns to engineers who built missile platforms out of tractor parts. Everywhere, humans refused to bow. Every loss only lit their fire stronger. Children ran supplies. Old men carried rifles. Families dug tunnels. The war no longer belonged only to soldiers. It belonged to the entire species. A squad of alien hunters stalked through the ruins of Paris. Their scanners tracked human life signs. Their orders were simple: kill every survivor. But the ruins hid more than civilians. Snipers waited among the broken towers. Mines were buried beneath the rubble. As the aliens advanced, explosions tore the ground open. Gunfire ripped through the night. Shadows darted between buildings, striking from all sides. By the time the smoke cleared, the hunters were gone. Not one alien made it out alive. The ruins were filled with silence once more, but in that silence, a message was carved in blood. Humanity was not done fighting. Inside the mothership, fear spread like a virus. Officers whispered of entire squads wiped out. Engineers struggled to keep systems stable under Earth's strange atmosphere. Commanders clashed over tactics, shouting that the humans were no ordinary prey. One officer dared to speak openly. If this continues, High Commander, we may lose more than this war. We may lose our empire's pride. The High Commander struck him down with a single blast. Silence returned to the bridge, but the fear did not fade. Back in the Rocky Mountains, the Aegis weapon charged once again. Its giant core pulsed with blue light, shaking the earth beneath. Dr. Ward's hands shook on the controls. We can only fire once more before the core collapses. If it fails, this entire mountain will blow apart. General Harris did not blink. Then we make this shot count. The weapon roared, blasting into the sky. It struck a cruiser escorting the mothership, cutting it clean in half. The explosion lit the night like a second sun. Across the world, people cheered. The sound of victory echoed louder than the sound of fear. In secret bunkers, humanity revealed its newest creation. Engineers had managed to fuse alien armor with human design. The result was the first generation of hybrid exosuits, giant armored shells powered by alien cores, worn by human soldiers. The first unit stepped forward, its steel frame glowing with blue energy. The pilot's voice came through the speakers. "We are ready." When these armored soldiers joined the battlefield, the aliens felt fear. Plasma rifles that once tore through tanks now bounced off the suits. Human strikes grew bolder, cutting deep into enemy positions. The hunters were no longer the only ones with advanced weapons. Humanity had caught up. The aliens launched an assault on Eastern Europe, sending thousands of soldiers into dense forests to root out human rebels. But they did not expect what waited inside. Explosives hidden in the soil ignited the first wave. Trees crashed down, crushing squads. Human fighters struck from the canopy, raining fire from above. Exosuits stomped through the woods, tearing through alien ranks. The forest became a graveyard. Green flames lit the night. By the end, the aliens fled in panic, leaving their dead behind. For the first time, a major alien ground offensive had not just been stopped, it had been crushed. This time, the humans made the broadcast. Across radios, hacked screens, and glowing phones, the voice of General Harris reached every corner of Earth. To the people of this world, do not surrender. Do not fear. Today we showed them the forests are ours. Tomorrow we take back our skies. Humanity does not kneel. Humanity fights. The world roared in answer. The aliens had tried to use fear to break Earth. Now Earth used hope to break them. Shaken by defeat, the High Commander ordered vengeance. Massive warships descended over South America, their weapons glowing brighter than suns. Cities were leveled in minutes. Rivers boiled. The land shook with fire, but this time humans were ready. Submarines rose from the depths, firing new torpedoes. Hybrid jets screamed overhead, dropping bombs ripped from alien technology. Exosuits marched into battle, carrying cannons that glowed with stolen plasma. The battle raged for hours, fire against fire, steel against steel. When it ended, the land was scarred, but alien wreckage burned beside human ruins. It was not a clean victory. It was not without loss. But it proved one thing: Earth would not break. On the mothership, officers argued louder than ever. Some demanded retreat. Others demanded total planetary destruction. The High Commander silenced them again, but cracks had already formed. Rumors spread that even soldiers on the ground no longer trusted their leaders. Some squads ignored orders. Some abandoned posts. The humans were not the only ones who knew fear. In a secret council, Earth's leaders and resistance commanders gathered. They spoke of a single idea. It was reckless. It was dangerous. But it was the only path left. They would not simply defend. They would not simply resist. They would strike the mothership itself. General Harris placed his hands on the table. If we do nothing, the world ends. If we fight, we may die. But if we win, Earth lives. No one spoke against him. The plan was set. Above Earth, the mothership began to move. It had stayed in orbit for weeks, striking from above, but now it descended lower, casting a massive shadow across continents. Its engines thundered. The air shook. People looked up in terror as the sky itself seemed to fall. In the Aegis base, Dr. Ward whispered the truth no one wanted to hear. They are coming down to finish us. The final strike has begun, and across Earth, humanity prepared for the battle that would decide not just the war, but the future of the species. The Earth shook before the first shot was fired. Across cities and villages, people felt the rumble beneath their feet. Windows shattered, birds scattered in terror. Then the shadow appeared. The alien mothership, the largest war machine ever built, broke through the clouds. Its engines roared like endless thunder. Entire mountains trembled as it descended. Sunlight vanished under its enormous frame. For weeks, it had stayed in orbit, striking from above like a god of death. Now it came down to Earth itself. The beast was no longer content to watch from the sky. It wanted to crush humanity face to face, all across the world. Men, women, and children stared upward in horror. The final battle had begun. The mothership slammed into the plains of North America, carving craters into the earth. Shockwaves tore through the land, flattening forests and cities for miles. Towers collapsed. Rivers changed course. The ground itself screamed as the alien beast made Earth its throne. Hatches opened along its hull. Thousands of soldiers poured out, armored and armed with glowing weapons. Massive war machines rolled forward, each one taller than buildings. The aliens had brought everything they had left. The hunters were here to end the hunt, but humanity was ready. From tunnels, bunkers, and hidden bases, soldiers poured out to meet the invaders. Hybrid jets streaked across the sky, their engines glowing with stolen alien cores. Exosuits stomped forward, towering over human lines like steel giants. Cannons roared. Missiles streaked. The earth cracked under the clash. Plasma burned through the air. Explosions lit the sky. General Harris stood at the front, his voice booming through radios worldwide. "This is our planet. This is our fight. No retreat. No surrender. Today we drive them back." The world heard him, and the world answered with fire. Alien drones swarmed into the air, black clouds of death. They rained plasma bolts on anything that moved, but human pilots were ready. Hybrid jets cut through the swarm, missiles locking onto targets with deadly accuracy. Dogfights raged above the plains. Drones exploded in fiery bursts, falling like meteors. One pilot shouted over the comms, "For New York!" He rammed his jet into a drone cluster, detonating his payload and taking dozens of enemies with him. His sacrifice lit the skies with fire and courage. The battle for the skies was no longer one-sided. Humanity had teeth now. On the ground, chaos ruled. Alien war machines crushed tanks with glowing claws. Exosuits fought back, cannons shaking the land with each shot. Soldiers darted between burning wreckage, throwing grenades and firing rifles. A young resistance fighter from Mexico City fired a stolen alien rifle into a beast twice his size. He screamed with rage as the creature fell. Another soldier dragged wounded civilians into a bunker, refusing to abandon them even as plasma bolts tore the air around her. Every street, every hill, every trench became a battlefield. The aliens had come to finish humanity. Instead, they found a species that refused to die. Far beneath the mountains, Dr. Helena Ward worked desperately on the Aegis weapon. The machine groaned with stress, its glowing core unstable. Her voice cracked as she spoke to her team. "If we fire again, the entire mountain could collapse. But if we do not fire, humanity falls." The technicians looked at her with fear, but none stopped working. They all knew the truth. The weapon had to fire one last time. General Harris's voice came through the radio. "Doctor, this is it. Aim for the mothership's heart." Her hands shook, but she nodded. Aiming now. The mothership opened massive hatches along its underside. Great cannons slid into place, glowing brighter than the sun. They fired beams of raw energy that carved trenches across the earth. Entire towns vanished in seconds. Thousands died instantly. The land itself was scarred. The aliens cheered inside their ship, convinced the humans would finally break. But they did not see the truth. For every human who fell, 2 more rose to fight. The beast had landed, but in doing so it had also made itself a target. Beneath the ground, resistance engineers triggered explosives planted weeks earlier. Entire sections of Earth collapsed under alien war machines. Grators swallowed squads whole. From the forests, hidden missile trucks fired salvos into the mothership's lower hull. Explosions rocked its massive frame, tearing chunks of armor away. Exosuit units charged through the smoke, ripping through alien lines with stolen plasma blades. The aliens were powerful, but humanity's fury was greater. The hunters were bleeding. Across hacked channels, humanity made another broadcast. This time, it was not just General Harris. It was the voice of ordinary people. A farmer's voice rang out, "This is our soil." A mother cried out, "This is our children's future." A soldier shouted, "This is our fight." Their voices echoed together into one roar. Earth belongs to humanity. Even inside the alien mothership, soldiers heard the broadcast. And for the first time, some hesitated. Some wondered if this war could truly be won. In the Rocky Mountains, the Aegis weapon reached full charge. The ground shook. Blue light poured from the machine like lightning. Dr. Ward screamed, "Firing!" The beam shot into the sky, striking the mothership with the force of a star. Armor melted. Weapons exploded. The beast roared in pain as chunks of its body fell burning into the plains, but the cost was high. The Aegis core overheated. The mountain cracked. Entire tunnels collapsed. Dr. Ward and her team fought to stabilize it. But the weapon was dying. The shot had landed. But the price had been written in fire and stone. The mothership staggered under the blow. Entire sections of its hull burned. Engines sputtered. Thousands of its soldiers were crushed in the collapse of its lower decks. For the first time since the invasion began, the alien flagship looked vulnerable. General Harris raised his rifle and shouted into his comms, "Now, all forces strike now!" Across the battlefield, humans attacked with everything they had left. Missiles, rifles, blades, fists, it all rained down on the beast and its army. The tide was turning. But then the mothership changed. Its engines flared with power no one had seen before. Its core pulsed with crimson light. The ground itself trembled again. Inside Project Aegis, Dr. Ward's scanners went wild. Her voice cracked with horror. "General, the shot did not kill it. We woke something inside. It is preparing to release its core. If it does, the entire planet will be destroyed." The High Commander's voice thundered from the ship's speakers, heard across the world. "If we cannot rule Earth, then we will burn Earth." The mothership glowed like a dying star, and humanity stood at the edge of annihilation. The Earth itself seemed to scream. The alien mothership glowed red across the night sky, its core pulsing with raw energy. Rivers boiled. The air grew heavy. Every living thing felt the weight of what was coming. Inside homes, shelters, and bunkers, families clutched one another. Across the ruins of cities, soldiers looked up with grim eyes. From villages and forests to deserts and mountains, all of humanity stared at the sky and knew one truth. If the mothership fired, the planet would end. This was no longer about victory or defeat. This was about survival. The last stand had begun. General Harris's voice thundered across hacked frequencies. "Brothers and sisters of Earth, listen well. This is the moment we were born for. If we fail, there will be no tomorrow. But if we fight, if we stand together, we will prove to the stars that humanity never bows. The enemy thinks we are weak. Today we show them what it means to be human." His words spread like fire. In every corner of the world, people rose. Wounded soldiers grabbed rifles. Farmers carried explosives. Children passed water and ammo to fighters. Pilots climbed into hybrid jets with no fear in their eyes. The world answered with a single voice. Humanity would not go quietly. Inside the mothership, the High Commander stood at the heart of chaos. His officers screamed over failing systems, but he ignored them. His eyes burned with rage. "Prepare the core," he ordered. "If Earth cannot be ours, it will be ash." The ship's massive heart glowed brighter, red lightning crawling across its hull. Entire mountains cracked under the rising energy. Oceans pulled back as if fearing the wave of destruction. Dr. Helena Ward at Project Aegis stared at her screens, pale with horror. "It will not just destroy cities. It will burn the entire biosphere. Every ocean, every forest, every life." Her hands shook as she whispered. "They mean to kill the planet itself." Humanity struck before the core could fire. Hybrid jets roared through the skies, weaving between plasma beams. Missiles screamed into the mothership's hull, exploding in bursts of fire. Submarines rose from the depths, unleashing torpedoes that slammed into the beast's underside. On the ground, exosuit legions charged with glowing cannons, blasting apart alien war machines. Resistance fighters poured out of tunnels, their rifles blazing as they cut through alien squads. The air was filled with screams, gunfire, and thunder. Every shot, every strike, every charge was made with the knowledge that there was no retreat. The battle was brutal beyond words. A squad of human soldiers held a burning trench, cutting down wave after wave of aliens until only one survivor remained, his rifle empty. He charged forward with a stolen blade, cutting down 2 more enemies before falling in the mud. A pilot from Japan guided her crippled jet into the mothership's cannon, detonating her payload inside. The explosion tore the weapon apart, saving thousands of lives below. An old man in Africa, armed with nothing but grenades, crawled beneath an alien walker and pulled the pins with shaking hands. His sacrifice dropped the machine into the dust. The cost was heavy. But with each life given, humanity carved wounds into the beast. For the first time in history, humans broke through into the mothership itself. Exosuit troops blasted open a hatch, storming into glowing corridors. Plasma fire lit the halls as humans clashed with alien defenders in brutal close combat. The halls were lined with strange machines, humming with power. Soldiers planted explosives along walls, knowing each blast would weaken the monster from within. At the front, Captain Reyes, scarred and unyielding, led the charge. His voice echoed through the comms. "We take this ship down from the inside, no mercy, no fear." The hunters were no longer safe even in their own fortress. Outside, the mothership groaned under the endless assault. Great chunks of its armor peeled away. Engines exploded one by one. Alien war machines burned in the fields. For every alien shout of rage, there were 10 human cries of defiance. For every human who fell, another picked up their weapon. The beast was bleeding, and the world knew eye deep beneath the mountains. The Aegis weapon trembled. Its core was nearly dead, cracked from overuse. Sparks lit the chamber. Engineers screamed as consoles melted around them. Dr. Ward clenched her fists. "If we fire again, the mountain will not survive. We will not survive." General Harris's voice came over the radio, steady as iron. "Then you give everything." "Fire the shot!" Tears filled her eyes, but she gave the order. "Charge it!" The mountain roared. The Aegis glowed like a dying star. The last of its power gathered for one final strike. On the mothership bridge, the High Commander snarled as reports flooded in. "Squads wiped out, weapons destroyed, hull collapsing." His empire's pride shattered before his eyes. He slammed his fist into the controls. "Release the core. End this world now." But before the order could be carried out, alarms blared. Human soldiers had breached the reactor chamber, explosives armed. Resistance fighters fought with blades and fists to keep aliens away from the core. The High Commander roared, "Kill them all!" The mothership shook under its own fury. Aegis fired. The mountain cracked open as the weapon unleashed its final beam. The shot cut straight into the mothership's core, piercing its crimson heart. The explosion shook the sky itself. Red light erupted across the plains. Fire and lightning spread for miles. The mothership screamed like a wounded god. Its weapons went silent. Its engines failed. The blast consumed the Aegis base. The mountain collapsed into itself, burying Dr. Ward and her team beneath stone and fire. Their sacrifice echoed louder than any words. With the mothership crippled, humanity attacked with every ounce of strength left. Exosuits charged into breaches. Soldiers planted explosives in glowing chambers. Pilots guided jets into burning hangars, detonating their payloads from within. The aliens fought with savage fury, but their lines broke under the tide. The hunters had become prey. General Harris led from the front, his rifle blazing as he shouted to his men, "This is it. Strike with all you have." The battlefield thundered with one truth: humanity would not stop. Inside the collapsing mothership, the High Commander stood tall, his armor glowing with raw energy. He activated his personal core, a weapon of destruction meant only for gods of war. His voice echoed across the battlefield, amplified by the ship's dying systems. "If I must fall, I will take your world with me." The mothership's heart pulsed again, brighter than before. The sky split open with light. General Harris looked up, his face hard as stone. "It ends here." The final confrontation was about to begin. The sky was no longer dark. It burned red with the light of the mothership's dying heart. Fragments of alien steel rained across the world, smashing into cities, forests, and seas. The ground shook under every impact, but even worse was the light at the center. The High Commander had awakened his own core, a personal weapon that pulsed inside his armor like a living sun. Each wave of energy cracked the air, bending the earth itself. Human soldiers stumbled as their weapons fried. Jets fell from the sky, their engines cut by invisible waves. Radios screamed with static. General Harris stared up, eyes fixed on the towering figure inside the burning mothership. The commander was no longer just an enemy. He was a living storm. The battle was not over. It had only reached its deadliest moment. Inside the collapsing ship, human troops clung to whatever cover they could find. Fires spread across every corridor. Explosions tore through walls. Gravity shifted as the mothership's systems died. Captain Reyes dragged a wounded soldier out of a burning hall. "Stay awake, damn it. This isn't finished." Resistance fighters planted their last charges, blowing apart alien squads trying to regroup. Blood, smoke, and fire filled the air, but no human backed down. Outside, what was left of the global forces pushed toward the wreckage. Tanks rolled across broken ground. Exosuits charged through waves of alien drones. Every man and woman knew the truth. The commander had to fall, or Earth would burn. The alien leader stood at the heart of the reactor chamber, his form glowing like a god of war. His voice thundered across the battlefield, carried on dying speakers and raw energy. "You dare wound my vessel. You dare defy my empire? You insects will learn what true power means." With a wave of his hand, a wall of energy blasted outward. Humans and aliens alike were thrown through the air, slamming into steel and stone. General Harris forced himself up, bleeding but unbroken. "Power doesn't win wars," he spat. "Will does." He raised his rifle, charging forward into the storm. Humanity did not retreat. Captain Reyes and his squad stormed into the reactor chamber, rifles blazing. Exosuit troopers followed, their heavy cannons firing bursts of plasma. Resistance fighters threw grenades into the fire. The commander met them head-on. Energy shields blocked their shots. His fists struck like hammers, shattering steel and bone. One by one, fighters fell, but others filled their place. No one ran. No one begged. This was humanity's last stand, and they would meet it face first. Dr. Helena Ward's voice echoed over what remained of the comms. Her last transmission, recorded before Aegis was destroyed, played across their helmets. "If the commander activates his personal core, you cannot match him with force. His power will outlast you. You must break the core. The armor is only as strong as its heart." Her words lit a spark in Harris's mind. He shouted through the smoke, "Aim for the chest! Break the core!" Soldiers shifted their fire. Jets outside swooped down, guiding their last missiles into the mothership's burning frame. Inside, Reyes charged with explosives strapped to his armor, slamming them into the commander's shield. The explosion cracked the alien's defense. The glowing armor flickered. For the first time, the commander staggered. General Harris stepped forward. His rifle was broken, his armor scorched, but his eyes burned with fire. The commander snarled, energy sparking across his armor. "You are nothing. A primitive animal. Why do you keep fighting?" Harris spat blood and stood tall. "Because we have no choice. Because this is our home. Because humans never bow." With a roar, the commander charged, his blade of pure energy cutting through the air. Harris met him with a scavenged alien rifle, blocking the strike in a shower of sparks. The two clashed in the burning chamber, man against monster, will against power. Every strike sent shockwaves through the ship. Every movement threatened to bring the chamber crashing down. Yet Harris did not falter. Captain Reyes, bleeding and broken, dragged himself across the floor. He held the last detonator in his hand. His voice cracked over the comms. "General, I can end this." Harris shook his head, locked in combat. "Don't you dare. That's an order." Reyes smiled weakly, his teeth red with blood. "Orders don't matter anymore. Earth does." He hurled himself forward, slamming the detonator against the commander's chest. The explosion ripped across the chamber, tearing through the alien's armor. The core inside his chest flickered and cracked, spilling unstable energy. Reyes was gone in the fire. But his sacrifice had opened the wound humanity needed. The commander staggered, his armor sparking wildly. His voice was no longer thunder, but a broken hiss. "I am eternal. You cannot kill me." General Harris lifted his last weapon, a jagged alien blade glowing with energy. His voice shook with rage and grief. "Then you don't understand humanity at all." He drove the blade into the cracked core. The chamber exploded with light. A shockwave ripped through the mothership. The core screamed, shattering into 1,000 shards of fire. The commander let out one final roar before the energy consumed him. His body disintegrated, scattered into dust. The mothership's heart was dead. Outside, the sky erupted. The mothership split open, fire spilling from its wounds. Towers of steel collapsed inward. Engines tore free and fell into the sea. Across the world, people looked up and saw the impossible. The monster that had darkened their skies for weeks was falling. With a final groan, the mothership crashed into the ocean, sending waves taller than mountains across the horizon. The fire faded. The skies cleared. Earth had survived. The battlefield was silent. Smoke drifted across the ruins. Fires burned in shattered cities. General Harris stood among the survivors, his armor broken, his face scarred. Around him, soldiers gathered, some weeping, some silent, all staring at the empty sky. For the first time in weeks, there was no enemy, no mothership, no roar of alien guns, only silence. News spread faster than fire. Across villages, towns, and cities, people poured into the streets. Bells rang. Flags waved. Families embraced. The cost had been beyond measure. Entire armies were gone. Cities were dust. Millions had been lost. But humanity was alive, and more than alive. They had done the impossible. They had stood against the hunters of the stars and won. Days later, survivors gathered around a rebuilt transmitter. General Harris spoke into the void, his voice steady and unbroken. To those who watch from the stars, hear us now. We are humanity. We are not prey. We are not weak. If you come to our world, you will find only ruin. Remember this day. Remember our stand. Earth is not yours to take. The message was sent across the galaxy. A warning and a promise. The camera of history pulled back. Survivors stood together on the ruins of battle. Soldiers, farmers, children, engineers, and leaders. Scarred but unbroken. The skies above were clear now. Filled with stars, they had defended their world, and in that moment, every human knew one truth: invading Earth had been the galaxy's last mistake.